everybody, Hilary Raven Porter here, coming at you from the Star Temple in Victoria, BC. This little lump behind me, I just totally got this little lump of mine. I'm gonna let it shine. Anyways, this little lump behind me, or long lump, is Derek. They can say hi if they want to, but I don't know, they're kind of plugged in.
Hello.
Oh, there's that. Totally have permission to be recording while they're there. Yeah, can you imagine if I didn't? Oh, anyways, that would feel so not safe for the receiver. Anyways, so totally permission. You may have watched some of our other videos. We do videos like this on a semi-regular basis. So today, what are we doing today? So today we have done a tier density 2 esoteric acupuncture template called Discern the Whisper. Okay? Discern the Whisper. But first, let's have a little chit chat about tier density level 2. So you can check out my tier density level 1 video that we did a couple weeks ago. Just go through my feed and you'll see it there. I'll try to remember to link it below. Okay, tier density level 2. What is this tier density level 2? So there's 5 levels, right? 5 tiers of density within our awakening process, within our consciousness process. One is not better or worse than another. So again, you hear me say this a lot, but this isn't like, you are on level 1, so that means you're not good. No, it just means you might end up becoming uncomfortable. Because again, we have these, so let's say the tiers are like on top of each other. Let's say you're at the bottom of tier 1, you're like, I'm good. Like you're not even conscious necessarily that there's more, right? But then as you move up and this consciousness starts to increase, you could be at the top of tier density level 1, close to stepping over into tier density level 2, and you're like, things are uncomfortable. Stuff's changing. You can feel these shifts in you, and you might not even know why. All of a sudden, you're just like, I don't like doing the things I used to do. These things aren't nourishing me. The things that were nourishing me are actually hindering me now. Maybe they're causing pain. Maybe they're just completely discomfort. Maybe you're just like, I'm bored with my life. Something needs to shift, right? But there's a different level to that boredom than just like doing the same routine. What happens is when you're doing the same routine and you're not, your consciousness is still closed, that routine isn't boring. But as your consciousness is awakening, you're like, something needs to change, right? This isn't right. This isn't right for me. So not right, good, bad, but just this doesn't feel right for me anymore. Okay. So what are some of the things with tier density level 2? Okay. Tier density level 2, a couple of things. First, your food choices start to shift. Maybe you start eating more organic. You start choosing higher vibrational meat product if you're still eating meat product. As you move higher and higher, you tend to resonate less and less with the animal product, right? And more plant-based there. There's this aha that happens at this level, tier density level 2. You know those moments in your life where all of a sudden something clicks and you're like, oh, right? And you see things more with truth, with more clarity. That's what happens here in regards to food. There's this aha of like, oh yeah, what I put into my body feeds my cellular structure and feeds all my bodies. So we're talking spiritual, we're talking physical, we're talking mental, emotional. I mean, we know this. We're like, I'm depressed or I'm sad, and so I'm emotionally eating, but does it help us feel better? No, maybe in that one single moment you're like, this tastes so good. But then you're like, this doesn't actually benefit, right? That I don't actually feel better. I still feel undernourished. And so there's this aha moment at tier density level 2 where you're like, oh, what I put in impacts everything. So there still might be some fast food digestion happening here. Digestion's a hard word for fast food, but there's still some draw to that fast food, and you still might have it once in a while, but there's definitely a shift in choices of types of food to the finer vibrational food, to the more alive food. Yeah? Okay. Number 2, there is an increased urge for the spiritual growth practices, the meditation, the pranayama, that kind of thing, right? The breath exercises and stuff like that. But the monkey mind's still there. That chatter within the head is still ding, ding, ding around. So the draw is more to things like guided meditations, things with gentle music, stuff like that, so that your mind has a little something to grasp onto. Because if there's silence, It's ding, 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 and it'll make the noise. Yeah? All right, number 3, physical exercise. Physical exercise shifts. So in tear density level 1, it was more like, ooh, physical, let's build that muscle, let's do that cardio, those kinds of things, right? Tone, lose weight, you know, totally that kind. Shifts more into the gentle, like Tai Chi, Hatha Yoga, stuff like that, right? Dance, if you're drawn to dance, it's going to be less that structured, vigorous dance and more the free flow, the creative style of dance. Work and play, number 4. This is a big one. Work and play. It's still work and play. So it's not work, play together, play, work. It's not that. It's still work is separate from play. You still are looking forward to those vacation times because your work is still depleting. It's still not heart aligned for you. And so you need the play time to recharge, or else you just become more and 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 more depleted. Yeah? Socialization is still really important here. So the playtime, the socialization, but there might become a shift. The shift is seen less about going to the bars and the pubs, and I've seen this lots. Like I see this lots. People come in and we're talking about the shifts that are happening in the world, and they're like, yeah, I just don't enjoy going to the pubs with my friends. I don't really want that drink. I just don't want it anymore. But not knowing how to make that shift. So there's multiple ways to make that shift. Some key ones are like, okay, well, let's say you're going out to have drinks with a friend. Well, bring your own fun drink along. So there's herbs that can help you relax and get into the zone and just have that fun. But then eventually you're like, I don't want to go to the pub. I don't want to go to that restaurant. I don't want to I don't even want to be around that. And so it's redefining the relationships that are also around that. And that is it's a big grieving process about these losses or these shifts. And it's about asking people to come along and then allowing them the choice. And you're like, this is how this is shifting for me. Would you like to go and do this instead? And then they have the choice to say yes or no. Right? But there can be a big grieving and a big loss as we're moving up the tiers of density, if people also are not shifting along at the same time. And that's not no right or wrong for either person. There's no good or bad, or nobody's done anything. It's just, okay, we're now shifting, right? We're now shifting apart, possibly. So instead, still wanting to do gatherings and stuff, but they may be more metaphysical, spiritual kind of workshops and gatherings, and smaller, not these big like so for example, I'm a rave kid. 100%. Way back in the late 90s. That was my scene. I loved it. I loved going dancing. But there were these big groups and all this other stuff. And then as I started to shift my vibration, less and less and less did I want to go to these parties. Regardless, so substance being used or not, I used to be that kid that was like, that young adult teen that was up until like 6 a.m. just dancing. No substance. I just loved dancing. It was my thing. I was like, yes, let's do this. And it felt so free and just to express and all this. But even then there was like, the vibration was different, right? Because a lot of people, were high, 100%. And they were just like, here we go. And it just shifted and shifted and shifted and shifted. And now there's these wonderful things like moon dances used to be a thing. And then there's these Sunday morning dances, and they're very intentional. And you go and it's about expression with the body. And I love that it's during the daytime. So it's different. It's smaller and it's a different vibration, right? Mother Earth, number 5. Very conscious of Mother Earth and the impact humans are having. You're starting to like see this of like, yeah, we are impacting Gaia. We are hindering her. We are hurting her. And so you become more conscious of recycling. You become more conscious of waste, reduce, reuse, recycle, that whole thing. You're starting to really, it's not negotiable for you. You go out, let's say you go out to get a fun bevy somewhere, like a hot chocolate or a coffee or whatever. And you're like, consciously, I have to bring my cup. Or you're going to the grocery store and you're like, I have to bring my bags. Those kinds of things are more on the forefront of your mind as opposed to an afterthought, if they were even a thought at all. Clothing, number 6. Number 6. I was like, 6? Clothing, you're leaning more into natural fibers. They just feel better on your skin. So they attract the negative ions, which we don't want the positive ions. We want the negative ions for nourishment of our being and for the finer vibrational frequency. So you're thinking at things like bamboo, cotton, wool, things like that. You're starting to shift, right? Now, when we're doing these things, it doesn't mean you have to go and like purge your whole closet. I can't even imagine if you had to replace your whole closet, but you're starting to make these conscious choices when you're out. You're like, no thanks, I'm good, but I'm going to do that instead. And then slowly things start to shift as things are leaving your field and new things are entering. It's the new things that you're bringing in that you're conscious about. Okay. Decision making. Number 7. Decision making. You're starting to trust yourself more in this field of consciousness, this tier of density, level 2. You're starting to trust yourself more, and you're starting to make decisions, small decisions that aren't like major changes and stuff like that, but you're able to do that and not have to be like, well, what about, and then this person, and then that person. And it causes you to just be stopped and stagnant and like immobilized, right? But you're still not willing to volunteer your opinions or your thoughts or your ideas on major decisions, including in just the realm of yourself. You're still stuck there. There's still this stutter step that's happening, right? But you're starting to learn and trust yourself, even with the small things. And that's what we have to remember. Start small and work our way forward. Yeah. And number 8, relationships. Relationships. This is a big one. Relationships. Personal relationships as well as partnered relationships. But in the romantic field, you're not willing to settle just to have a partner, right? You're not willing to settle to have that partner. You'd rather be alone. If the person is not on your same wavelength or is not progressing or moving, I won't say progressing, but moving in the same direction, if you can't run parallel with them anymore, it's like, let's say you're like, I met this person, but they go to the pub all the time and they're not shifting. Well, then you'd rather be alone than do that because it's starting to feel too discordant, right? Yeah, so tier density level 2. Let's check in with Dara. How's it going?
Going good.
It's very interesting. I'm going to share a little, okay? You okay with that?
Always.
Always. See? Always. They're just like, whatever, share away. I put the first pin in. So Si Shen Chong. So there's 13 needles in Discern the Whisper. Okay, 13 needles, and but don't get freaked out by that. 1, they're super fine. 2, I don't go in, or they don't. Esoteric acupuncturists, they don't go in and they don't go and they don't stimulate the heck out of all of them, right? So I put the first pin in, and literally Derek's being just goes, oh, right? It's so good. So good. So, okay, so Discern the Whisper. We're gonna talk a little bit about this template. Let me check the time. Oh yeah, we're good. I just want to make sure we don't overcook Derek, right? Because it can be. You can have them too long. Thing is with the esoteric templates, is they stay in for a little bit longer, especially the yang side. So the face down, we're on the yang, we're on the back. They stay in for a little bit longer. But again, there's a thing, right? There's like, it's exactly this many minutes. But I've had it where a person's being has been like, ding, I'm done. And I'm like, okay, needles are coming out. We have to listen to these things as practitioners. That's part of our job, right? That's part of our job. So Discern the Whisper, 13 points. Yeah. It is to help you discern the whisper. Shocking, I know. It is to help you discern what's important in your life, okay? And by doing this, when we're able to make these discernments, these decisions, that's how we trust ourselves more. Because it is also intuition. It's using our thinking mind, it's using our intuitive mind, it's using our spiritual body, it's feeling into all the vibrations of ourselves, whatever that looks like. You might be conscious, unconscious, subconscious, it doesn't matter. But as you start making these decisions, you start trusting yourself and you start being able to make more of them and more of them and more of them. And feel empowered and confident and not apologetic for making them. Yeah? This template is amazing for all you acupuncturists out there. This template, Discern the Whisper, is amazing for adding it with other traditional acupuncture styles, right? TCM styles, whatever. So you would do this template first, and then let it set for like 15 minutes, and then put in other pins for whatever you're looking to do. So there's been reports of other acupuncturists, as per Mikyu Sankey, the founder of Esoteric Acupuncture, of increased success and reduction of pain by doing this template plus other points, right? Any kind of physical stuff, this template helps to reduce those things with the addition of other points, right? A lot of the points in esoteric acupuncture are the same as traditional Chinese medicine. It's just how they're implanted. It's how they're inserted, the format in which they're inserted, and the type of stimulation and all that. And like I said, you don't go in and stimulate them, you put them in, right? So let's talk a little bit about, actually let's talk about just about a couple of points. So this guy, this template, moves through root, sacral, heart. It moves through the solar plexus, but we're not really activating that one. Through the heart, through the throat, through the third eye at the back, and through the crown. Yeah. So what we're doing here, one of the other things, is it's a gentle opener for the higher head centers in the communication and unification of the lower twin flames within. What are the lower twin flames within? That's the heart and the kidney. You've heard me talk about this before. So we've got heart fire and we've got kidney water, but there's also a kidney fire as well. That's the twin flames. So the kidney fire is the Ming Men. Yeah, the kidney fire is the Ming Men. Heart is love and everything that's attached to that. So we've got play, we've got wisdom, we've got joy, we've got, comfort, contentment, relationships, all that. Heart, heart, heart. And then we have kidney, which is that fear space. And everything that's attached to that. Envy, anger. Let's see what else we got here. Apparently I didn't write it down. But anything that's attached to that fear space, worry, all those things that hold us back. And so there needs to be this balance between the two. There needs to be a resonance, right? Now, that's in relation to the emotions. So the heart is all about the spiritual gateway, right? It's opening that spiritual gateway. Whereas the kidney is the gateway to our grounding within our physicality. Earthing within our physicality. So one of the points that we did here was do 4, Ming Men, which is at the level of L2 on the back there. So it's like lower back, yeah? So we go down there, and so this is like our battery. It generates and regenerates and regenerates. And we've got this battery. Its other name is gate of vitality, or the life gate. This is where we have this battery that gives us the willpower to create change and to accomplish the things in our life. So when this is low, we're like, I don't want to, I'm good, no thanks, peace out. Yeah? And same thing with our heart fire. If our heart fire is low, we're sad. We don't want to do anything. We don't want to be connected. There's no joy, there's no play. All work, no play, right? Hence that if you're working and the play is not in alignment, it's not work play and it's like work and then you need to play to regenerate, there's this dissonance that's happening between the heart fire and the kidney fire. And we want to bring those into balance, right? So one of the ways that Mickey has noticed is that when there's a disconnect between these two, it is hard for the person to visualize. So there's visualizations that go along with this template. Once the template's part of the template's in, we go through these visualizations to activate the heart fire triangles and the kidney water triangles, because then it also creates the balance. The fire steams the water cools the fire, and it keeps it going around, right? So we don't get too hot, but then we don't get too boggy. Yeah? And so we do these visualizations to activate these, to create that fundamental balance between the love and fear. That centered balance. And as you move down, we activate these points, and then we draw the energy down to the tailbone. And if you're unable to activate and visualize, that's okay. That's what I'm here for, to also do that. Derek has a very clear activating visualization process and sensation in the body from all the work that he does, right? And so as we're drawing this down, if somebody has that discordance, that dissonance between the two twin flames within, lower twin flames within, it's hard to visualize that drawing down to the tailbone. Yeah. Yeah. So the goal is to get this balance, and that's partly what this template does, is it helps get that balance between the two. And also it's the homework as well. It's like we are also responsible Healers are there to help us. They're there to support us. They're there to guide us. They're there to help us do the things that we're like, aha, I'm stuck. But then we also are responsible for what are the choices we're making outside of this space, the lifestyle choices that we're making, right? So in this case, if we're talking about work and play, okay, so work is depleting, and we can give ourselves all these reasons as to why we stay in the jobs that we do, and that's okay. Eventually, you're just like, no thanks, I'm good, and it needs to be a shift. But how can you call in that play piece to that work now? How can you live within the reality that you desire now? By calling in that energy now, you create change to move forward into. Yeah? Because it's easy to be like, well, I don't have that, so I can't do this. Like an example, I want to have dinner parties at Tito Shikatikatoko, but I only have room for one. Well, then have a one-person dinner party. Start calling in that energy now, and that's the same with your life, right? So we talked about the grid work. One of the other things that I love about this template is that it activates the wings of your heart at the wingmaker frequency. And the wingmaker frequency, so we have a point at the back of the head, one on each scapula, so the shoulder blade at the back, and then one on the spine just below that level of the ones on the scapula, and it creates this polygon. Even just doing that, I'm like, I feel everything, right? And that's the wingmaker frequency. That raises the vibration and brings us into a finer vibrational frequency state. So that if you're in a situation where you're like, oh, this doesn't feel comfortable, or there's a lot of dense energy in this experience, in this room with these people, call in your wingmaker frequency. And what it does is it shifts your vibration, which then shimmers out and shifts the vibration around you. You're not going in and being like, I'm changing that person's vibration. No, you're not doing any of that. You're not going against their will. You're just shifting yours. And in response, the space around you shifts. Yeah? Okay, yeah, I think that's it. Excuse me. I think that's it today, folks. Today, Tear Density Level 2. If you have any questions, comments, please leave them below. If you're not following along already, please follow along so that you get notification of what's coming up next for other videos and other sharings and all that other stuff. Yeah. And as always, I'm here if you need any support. Okay, so much love and stardust. Mwah! Talk to you soon. Bye for now.